Jordan Spieth just stunned the entire golf world with a move no one saw coming. No rumors, no leaks, nothing, and the shockwaves hit instantly. His career trajectory seemed steady and predictable until he revealed a plan that blindsided everyone. During a press conference, when AP reporter Tim Reynolds asked about his wrist procedure and whether he'd ever feel back again or if this was his new normal, Spieth admitted his hope is that this doesn't become the new normal. He explained that waking up with pain every day isn't something he wants to accept, even if the wrist feels manageable by the time he tees off. His candid answer highlighted the frustration of competing while not feeling physically right, and it added even more mystery to the unexpected move he just made. Today, we're breaking down exactly what Spieth confirmed, why his comments have sparked more confusion than clarity, and how this unexpected twist could reshape his career, his legacy, and even the future of the PGA Tour. It all unfolded in a press room that started calm, Spieth smiling. Reporters relaxed until the atmosphere flipped and phones started lighting up. He tried to keep things routine, saying this hasn't been his strongest major historically, but he feels good going into the week, hoping to settle into his pairing, enjoy the crowds, and maybe even treat the weekend like a breather. But beneath the polished PR tone, fans and media instantly sensed something deeper, and headlines were being drafted in real time. Then came the moment that actually changed the energy. Spieth casually revealed that he called his coach just days earlier asking, "Hey, what's this golf course like for me?" A question that sounded innocent but signaled a sudden shift in planning and preparation. His coach told him the course was a great fit, and that tiny exchange triggered massive speculation. Why was Spieth reevaluating his schedule? Why rethink now, right after talking about pain, recovery, and a wrist that still doesn't feel right in the mornings? His confirmation created answers on the surface, but a lot more questions underneath. Spieth opened up just enough to make it clear that his entire approach to the season is changing, explaining that precision driving and tough Bermuda courses suit his game, while subtly reminding everyone he's still managing wrist issues and refusing to overload his spring schedule. His careful pauses, cautious wording, and half answers all hinted at something bigger than a simple tournament plan. It was his way of saying, "Watch what I do this year, not how often I play." Insiders immediately picked up on it. The old grind-heavy Spieth is gone, replaced by a minimalist, majors-first strategy where early events like Phoenix or the Cognizant Classic become tactical test runs instead of confidence-building reps. What really ignited the storyline was the personal layer. Spieth talked repeatedly about being present at home, how fatherhood shifts his priorities, and how rehab now demands precision, not ego. Even joking off mic about squeezing practice between diaper changes. All those small signals hit at once, revealing not a break, but a complete competitive recalibration. Beneath the press room calm lies a new reality. Post-surgery, every tournament is now a deliberate piece of a long-term blueprint, not just one more week on the PGA Tour. Reports revealed that Spieth handpicked his early season events purely to apply controlled stress to his recovering wrist, not to chase points or headlines. Showing up at places like the Cognizant Classic and WM Phoenix Open just to test thresholds, monitor his range of motion, and see whether his swing held up when the pressure lights came on. From his first deep training sessions, his entire approach became data-driven, with coaches tracking swing velocity, load levels, and fatigue markers, stopping practice the moment the numbers dipped. An absolute flip from the heavy rep grind that once defined him. Mentally, the shift was just as dramatic. The momentum-hungry competitor who once thrived on non-stop reps was now forced into measured breaks, slow build-ups, and a long-view strategy built to peak at majors rather than survive weekly wear. The risk, of course, came in the form of fewer real-world reps, fewer confidence checkpoints, and fewer chances to rebuild tournament swagger. But through the medical lens, it wasn't hesitation, it was discipline designed to protect a legacy. Layered on top of this was the pull of family life, with the arrival of his third child reshaping how he views time and leading him to carve out windows for school runs, mornings at home, and a grounded rhythm far outside the tee box. For longtime Spieth watchers, it felt like a quiet evolution, the former every-event grinder now moving with sharp intention, narrowing his energy into a tight triangle of health, majors, and family. Even as fans and analysts filled the gaps with theories about his wrist, his swing, or some bigger plan unfolding behind the scenes. But the truth landed right in the middle. Spieth wasn't betting on a busier version of himself, but a smarter one. And that gamble could either rebuild his dominance or expose the vulnerabilities he's quietly protecting. Those who follow him closely say fatherhood isn't a cute storyline anymore. It's the core of who he is, shaping every scheduled choice he makes. And those press room lines about being present weren't throwaway quotes. People around him say his off-course priorities have become sharply intentional, with weekend plans, travel logistics, and even practice windows weighed against the needs of a growing family. And that light-hearted image of him bouncing between rehab sessions and diaper duty actually reflects the reality of a man balancing elite ambition with real home life. Coverage from outlets like People reinforced that this wasn't PR. Tournament weeks now orbit around kid-friendly plans, quiet spaces, and little moments where his children pop into practice as unofficial assistants. Beneath all of that sits an even deeper purpose, tied to his expanding Jordan Spieth Family Foundation, where he's now more hands-on than ever, shaping junior golf programs, selecting scholarship recipients, and driving the tone of the mission himself, making his trim schedule feel like a deliberate shift toward impact, not absence. Add in the cultural pieces: his steady presence in Bible study groups, the tight bond with caddy Michael Greller, family dinners at home, and even Greller taking occasional loops for others, and the full picture becomes clear. This wasn't a side plot to Spieth's press room revelation, it was the revelation. A whole new chapter powered by purpose, family, and a recalibrated vision of what his prime should look like. Jordan Spieth's so-called shocking shift wasn't really about slowing down. It was about rebuilding everything from the inside out. His new family-centered rhythm became the emotional anchor behind every decision, shaping his schedule with purpose and turning fatherhood from a cute storyline into the core of his identity. Behind the scenes, his entire game underwent a quiet scientific overhaul after the 2023 wrist surgery, with his team ditching marathon range sessions for Mike Rodost. Tech-driven training built around force plates, velocity sensors, safer release patterns, and Titleist equipment tweaks designed to reduce torque and protect the wrist. Practice days looked more like sports science labs than warm-ups, and his mental prep evolved into a precise checklist that dictated whether to compete or recover, turning him into a player who relied on curated precision instead of endless repetition. That discipline naturally reshaped his schedule, and while fans fixated on injury concerns, people in the business world saw a calculated brand recalibration, fewer events, bigger moments, and a presence that matched the premium identities of sponsors like Titleist, Rolex, and NetJets. In reality, Spieth wasn't retreating. He was engineering a smarter, longer, and more strategic chapter of his career. Spieth's shift was bigger than a schedule tweak. It was a full emotional and strategic rebrand built around family, longevity, and major focused ambition. Sponsors quickly realized his growing family was a storytelling goldmine, giving them wholesome, high-engagement content that went far beyond tournament swings. Kids running around the practice green, soft-focus foundation clips, behind-the-scenes travel moments, and the perfect father-competitor narrative arc. Fewer events meant tighter, more cinematic storytelling, raising his value even as he stepped back from non-stop broadcasts. And his team doubled down with social content, foundation moments, and selective media spots to keep him culturally relevant. But behind all the warm family optics sat a cold, calculated plan. Spieth was reshaping his entire season to peak at the majors, building a second prime through rest, precision training, risk-friendly prep cycles, and targeted tune-up events instead of weekly grinds. Analysts noted the move mirrored the late career strategies of stars who weaponized scarcity. Fresher legs, sharper execution, bigger moments. Fans, however, would see a new rhythm: less leaderboard climbing, more strategic appearances, and a version of Spieth designed specifically for Augusta, Pinehurst, Royal Troon, and the game's biggest stages. It was risky, especially with any rehab setback capable of tightening his prep window. But the message behind that press conference was unmistakable. Spieth wasn't fading, he was engineering his comeback for the moments that truly matter. Sponsor expectations for visibility could easily collide with Spieth's minimalist schedule, and family needs could flip travel plans without warning. But every one of those pressures added emotional weight to this new chapter of his career. He wasn't just chasing majors, he was navigating a more complex, more grounded version of himself, trying to prove that a modern champion can build a career around balance instead of burnout. And once the press conference faded from the headlines, the bigger picture stood out clearly. Spieth wasn't aiming for week-to-week consistency anymore. He was aiming for immortality: green jackets, claret jugs, and those legacy-defining Sundays that live forever. His so-called shocking plan wasn't drama. It was engineering a calculated late-career blueprint unfolding quietly as fans connected the clues. If his wrist holds up, his priorities stay sharp, and his discipline remains locked in, he's not just returning, he's setting the stage for a whole new era. If you love the untold stories and real drama inside the game, make sure you subscribe to Golf Hub for weekly inside scoops. Because when Spieth shows up, he'll be right where legends carve their names, those unforgettable major Sundays, where silence before the swing hits the loudest. It's the loudest.